Greetings my friends, and welcome to this brand new nations guide, and today we're going to be looking at Georgia. Now, we previously had, as you can see, Dagestan before, and some of you might be thinking, well, what's the difference matter between Dagestan and Georgia? They're roughly in the same position, so, is there much difference? And we'll be looking at that quite closely. Also be looking at sort of your starting position, the starting sort of economy you have, troops, your sort of general position in the world, or should we say in the region that you're in, where your probably allies are going to come from, where your enemies are going to come from, and we're going to have a sort of a rounded look at what you can do if you start with Georgia. It's a particularly tough campaign, as you can probably see here. There are, of course, some immediate places you probably look to expand, but we'll have a look at just in a little bit more depth. But let's start off with that question we posed at the start: where and why is the sort of the main difference between Georgia and Dagestan? They're roughly in the same place, and they are near neighbours, of course. But if you look at Georgia, it is the sort of the focal point, the pivotal point between the Ottoman Empire and the Russian Empire, and not only that, it is the sort of the middle ground, that sort of bridge between the Middle East and also the sort of the Urals moving into the Far East, because of course, at the very extremities of Russia, you're heading towards the Far East as well. So, as you can imagine, it doesn't look like it's an important part, but in fact, it's an incredibly important bridge between the two. It really, really is. And to that effect, you are going to be straight away going to be a target for either one of these nations. Of course, Ottomans will want that sort of stepping stone into Russia because they're at war with them, and vice versa. Russia will want that sort of stepping stone, that access to that bridge into the Ottoman territory, both into the rears of both empires. As you can see, we're not going to be having regions where the troop numbers of each empire are going to be massive upon these borders, because they're not the backwater. That sounds a little bit dramatic, but the rear areas of each empire. So they're not going to see that military building. They're not going to have that capability, the production values, to really ramp out massive armies in each regions that's going to really strike hard. But that sort of Georgia really is that bridge between the two. If you get Georgia, you are effectively only a stone's throw away from either empire. So that's why it's an incredibly important area, but also an incredibly difficult region to hold if you are playing as Georgia. Now, as you can see, you start off with a military governor's encampment, and obviously you can move down into the military governor's barracks. Now you do start off here with the ability to get militia, provincial cavalry and regiment of horse, of course, and the ability to get dragoons and also the 12-pounders. But once you've got the technology to do so, you've also got these Tatars as well, which are effectively bowmen upon horse, but they're wonderful experts in skirmishing and harassing, as you can see here, in harassment of the enemy. And then if you were to move up to military governor's barracks, as you can see, you would then get line infantry. And then you got access to these eventually once you're able to open up the particularly artillery sort of section of your research. You're also able to get a regiment of horse as well here. But this is the crucial option you'll get with military governor's barracks, line infantry. That's going to be the backbone. It's going to be the absolute mass of your armies are going to be line infantry, of course, mixed in with others, mainly cavalry, but you're not going to be able to access to any of these guns either, which is a little bit of a shame. You're not going to have the artillery just yet. So that's going to be a problem you have to face. And of course, as you can see here, we do have here a school. Now that is rare. In a single region nation, it is rare to get a school, and that's what makes Georgia even more critical, even more important, because you will not find a school pretty much in one of these nations. I mean, I know you can probably some of these in Ottomans, but you won't find a school in any of these areas very, very close. It'll probably you have to go to Moscow to find the nearest school, and probably heading towards Ankara and Istanbul before you'll find another school. So that's how incredibly important Georgia is. It really is. You've got your own school here, which is incredibly rare for a single region nation. And again, you've got the peasant farms and also the trappers, which is for furs. You can already upgrade that here to bring in 22 pelts. And of course, it's always critical to keep an eye on the world trade. But again, we'll have a look at that in a moment. And also, you've got here Batumi. Now, there's nothing at the moment that's going to, but that will eventually move and turn into a port. Again, a critical infrastructure, sort of cog, as it were, in this single region. It doesn't look much, but my goodness me, it has the potential to be very, very influential, very, very powerful region as well. Now, if we click, we can see there are no villages growing at the moment because, as you can see, growth is sort of just about stagnating, and economic growth is on the downturn. It really is, as you can see here, not looking good at all. And that's pretty much it. You've only got these three, but that is crucial. This school here will prove pivotal. It really will prove important because it'll allow you to start your research. And let's have a quick look at research. What you've got here, as you can see here, we've got nothing at all, but we can get common land enclosures because, of course, we do have this farmland here. But we don't have any army encampments. That's the problem there without the king. But we do have philosophy. So we get social contract, which will increase research rate. You've got physocracy as well, which will, of course, increase and enable you to build any of these. But you're not going to be looking to do that at the moment. And you've also got empiricism as well, which again increases the research rate and also allows you to get a college. So there's a chance of in 4 turns you might get a college out of this region, which will boost things hugely. But alas, you don't have access to any of this because you can't get the army encampment yet. That is the drawback of having the school, but also only having the ability to have an army encampment. It means you're going to have to expand to be able to find a position where you're going to be able to sort of invest in that army and that barracks. And that means potentially taking a city, because they are really the only place you're going to be able to do that is in a city. And that is going to be quite the effort there, but you can still get line infantry. The key is you can still get line infantry even without that sort of research and development there. You're going to fall behind the other sort of larger nations because, of course, cities are where you can build those particular buildings, the barracks, etc., and expand quite aggressively. But a single region nation, as you can see, you've just effectively got either a town hall or a barracks or an encampment, as it were. You're restricted in terms of what you can expand to, but if you are savvy enough, my friends, you can build up the army. Now let's have a quick look at the army here. As you can see, militia, always pikemen. Pretty much every nation has a pikeman start here, and of course a good general as well. Look at that, soldier from birth, +1 to command land battle. So great, again, you've got an excellent general here. Lazarus Koretas here. That's a wonderful. And you've also got already a gentleman, so you could immediately put him into the school. That would increase your research rate. Okay, no attributes as such. And we've got then our rake as well, only 25 as well, so not bad at all. The rake, of course, is going to prove pivotal, and you're being able to get that particular intelligence depending on which way you want to strike. Do you want to strike sort of northwards towards Russia, or do you want to sort of move down southwards and move into the Ottoman regions, or maybe even moving sort of, southeast, as it were, towards the Persian Empire? But you have to pick your targets very, very careful. We'll have a look closer at that very, very soon. But as you can see here, let's have a look what we start off with, the national summary. As you can see, not too bad of an income at all. That's not too bad because of this here, the other sort of trade treaties, diplomatic negotiations, you can see protectorates, that type of thing. Money brought in, shall we say, on the backhand. We've also got trade here of 395, again, not too bad at all. And we've got tax income at 224, which is not huge, but then again, you don't have much to tax. Army upkeep is 638, but that's not too bad at all. Trade partners are Dagestan, so immediately got a trade partner here. Now, that is always good, of course. You can establish, maybe even grow an alliance with Dagestan, but again, with Dagestan being a independent state, single region, the chances are Persia are going to want to perhaps take this here to sort of seal the majority of the Caspian Sea along this sort of eastern border for themselves. And again, you have to be wary of Persia yourself because, of course, it is also a sizable empire in its own right here, especially moving into Afghanistan, Baluchistan. It is quite the established empire along with the Ottomans. So again, you have to really keep your wits about you here. And of course, we're at war with pirates in the Barbary states. But again, that's not going to really affect us in sort of the immediate term. But again, not too bad at all, that income. If you can build that income up, you'd be on a good thing there, my friends. Again, policies, our tax levels, as always, are sort of in the middle, medium. Ministers here is crucial. Look at that. Georgie is not a good premier at all. He is absolutely useless. However, as always, as you will find, the cabinet usually comes to your aid. But look Look at these cabinet members here, these candidates. Of course, you're an absolute monarchy, so you can move these candidates in and around as you see fit. But look at these here. I mean, the management skill is incredible here. Status quo, honest, harsh reputation. Probably a very good justice minister. Look at that, tactician, agrarian. Probably not very good for that. But look at he's either be good for the army or the navy. This gentleman here, he is fantastic. This one, Apostolos Angelis, and you have Stelios Kaladisio. Again, Sabariti, and harsh reputation. Oh, that's I'm not even going to attempt that, my friends. +1 to management. +1 to management. He would be excellent, actually, probably in the treasury. I would imagine that if you moved him into the treasury, because it's an absolute monarchy, you can move these around as you see fit. Now that's +1 bonus here to tax income, +2 bonus to growth, +2 per turn to town wealth. I wonder if you put this gentleman in instead of this gentleman, that would make a difference. We can always check here. And indeed, +2 and +4. So already there's a huge difference here, and you're going to see in us a probably difference in your income eventually, especially with a trade tax. You've got this gentleman here as well. He's good at management in either, but perhaps not army nor navy, but maybe justice. This gentleman would definitely be a wonderful, honest. I think this gentleman here, Apostolos Angelis, would be excellent in your army. Let's have a look. Look at that, -6 to recruitment costs, +6% to land technology research rate, and -6 upkeep costs. That is phenomenal. And the navy here, I'm wondering whether he might be an excellent candidate for justice. I think he'd be an excellent justice minister. Indeed, look at that. -6 to town cost wealth. Wonderful. And also, I think this gentleman would be a good head of state. Indeed. +8. So, in fact, his diplomatic relation bonus actually almost offsets the premier's bonus. And +2 to town wealth as well. And +1 prestige. So he's effectively cancelling out. This head of state is effectively cancelling out this pasha. Is effectively cancelling out the premier. Is sort of horrendous position here, as it were. So again, if you do that with your cabinet, my friends, you've got a wonderful chance. The navy at the moment is not important. So these are the main, especially army and especially treasury. These are very, very important. And again, that prove a huge boon and a huge boost to your sort of overall makeup of your government, because that's going to be proof pivotal in the end. Trade, of course, we have Dagestan here, only 295, but furs are only 12. They're probably the lowest of all, apart from coffee. But again, getting furs out and upgraded here will increase the number you can ship out in one go. That'd be excellent to see. Now that was a real boost. That was to your government. That really were. Those ministers were fantastic. Of course, you start with 7,500. Not a huge amount, but a decent amount. A decent amount to start off with, indeed. And let's have a look at diplomatic relations. Major nations. As you can see, let's find Russia. There it is, unfriendly, but you can get trade with them. Ah, there it is, hostile with the Ottoman Empire, so that's going to be really difficult for you to keep an eye on there. You have to build an army, and I would say a sizable army here to keep the Ottomans at bay. Now, they're unfriendly with you. If you can get on the right side of Russia, maybe with a trade agreement, keep those friendly with you, so they sort of effectively leave you alone for a while. And maybe turn your attention to the Ottoman Empire, because even if you get trade with them, the Ottoman Empire is not very strong here in their rear area, particularly here in Armenia. Once you start to establish some regional control around Armenia, maybe even move down to Mesopotamia here. That would be a bold move, though. But taking Armenia would give you the craft workshop here, +400 to regional wealth, +6 per turn to town wealth, which would be excellent. Then you've also got here this mine, this iron mine. That's going to bring in a good amount of money. Again, a peasant farm. Another potential village here as well in Kars. And what does Armenia give you? You've got magistrates here. Again, infrastructure is going to be vitally important, but look at that. Almost nothing at all that's going to compete with a good army here. And the general you've got as well, remember. The general will be the tipping point here for you. But there's nothing here in Armenia that can stop you. Not a thing. If you build up a sizable army, or at least a decent strike force, you could take Armenia quite quickly and start to establish quite a decent empire here. Now, there's always the ability, of course, then to strike and move to Azerbaijan, but again, I don't think the Persians stand to, because they're quite close here, the Persians. However, Baghdad would be an absolute prize, it really, really would. And it would take a while for the Ottomans to get reinforcements into the area, because look at the distances involved, especially for Ankara. Getting forces from Ankara and indeed from Damascus would be a real trot for them. It really would be a long march to get along there, especially with the way the roads are. The roads are not very well built at all. Actually, dare I say, I doubt the roads are even basic roads here. And again, infrastructure is going to prove incredibly important here. So again, basic roads are going to have to be built. Getting this agent out into the wider hinterlands, as it were, to find out what's going on. But if it was me personally, and I was starting off, Armenia would be my #1 target. And then from there, once you've established some income and established some more trade, perhaps with Russia, because remember, if Russia were at war, they are indeed with the Ottoman Empire, and you attack them, then you're going to be sort of the enemy of your enemy is your friend situation. So you're going to be on the good side of the Russians, and maybe even getting trade with them would probably be beneficial, because they are, as you can see here, a vast empire with great wealth, but all the potential wealth. But if you were to attack and go to war with the Ottomans, it would put you in good stead with the Russians as well. So that might just very well prove in your favour. And if you're bold enough, you could even go for Baghdad and cut off the potential for reinforcements moving in to try and take Armenia back. And it would open up a sizable amount of growth potential here. Look at the size of Mesopotamia, even a port. Basra, if you took Basra from the Ottomans, that would be a real stab in the heart for them here. As you can see, plenty of farmlands, plenty of villages that can be upgraded in time. And it's got good links as well. Good links in and out of Armenia as well if need be. But again, that would be my first strike, would be for Armenia. The chances are the Ottomans are going to go to war with you at some point anyway, so there's a chance you could preempt them. Look at the minor nations as well around you. Of course, you've got friendly with Dagestan, but there's only Persia, who again were friendly, so again you're going to have to keep your absolute eyes open for Persia. But then again, there's a potential to have trade with them, which would turn that around. So potentially we could turn that around and you can get some trade with them and get some more money coming in, but also keep them at arm's length. And they're always Spain though. Oh, that was the wrong ones, wasn't it there? Why am I looking at the Plains nation? They're at war with the pirates, but they got trade with the Mughal Empire. So maybe getting trade with Persia would also give you access to the sort of the Mughal Empire as well, and their trade by sort of default, as it were. But again, that would be my absolute first step, was to build up a decent strike force, nothing too much, don't overstretch yourself, because remember, you've only got that income here. As soon as you start upgrading and building your army up, you're going to find that army upkeep is going to shoot up through the roof. But again, you can probably upgrade this to a military government barracks, and from there get 3 to 4 line infantry here, some maybe 2 or 3 regiment of horse, and then you can move into Armenia as your first stepping stone, with the potential to move into Baghdad, because I doubt that's very well guarded either. And if you could take Baghdad, then it gives you the option to start expanding in terms of your artillery, your barracks, that type of thing. It really will kickstart your empire with great vigour. Again, keeping an eye out here, but potentially even Crimea. I wonder if you can... Crimea would be an interesting pose there, but I think the Crimea is probably wanted by Russia. So you stepped onto Crimea and took it. I think you'd find the Russians would declare war on you quite quickly. But I think the Ottoman Empire is going to be the sort of the main target, and my goodness me, they've got large targets for you to aim at, because not only are they are going to be at war, if not already at war, with Hungary and Austria, I beg your pardon, but they are definitely at war with Russia. So they're tied down on the Western Front. You could do some real damage here in the Middle East. It could be your way into establishing, especially here in Jerusalem and Damascus. That is an absolute trade dream here. If you could take this and annex this from them, particularly Cairo with Alexandria here as well, which can be turned into quite the port eventually. That will be a world-class port. Then all of this could be at your disposal. And my goodness me, what an empire you could carve out there. Granted, it's quite dispersed here, so defending it would be difficult, but eventually as you grow larger and stronger, you're able to improve and increase your army strength, your military strength, and that would really push you far. Again, if the Russians declare war on you, then of course you're going to look at diverting forces to try and hold them off whilst you do both. But again, that you can have to adapt and sort of adapt if you leave it long enough. But if you strike fast, strike hard against the Ottomans, it might put them on the back foot, especially, as I said, if they're going to be pulled apart by the fighting here in the west. And as their empire shrinks, you're able then to sort of mop up with the remaining parts. And my goodness me, look what's available to you down here in the Middle East. 4, 5 of the largest cities in the Middle East are available to you. What an absolute prize that would be. But as you can see, my friends, we haven't looked here at what you get with army encampment here. Now you get buccaneers, and you'll get sepoys. You also get the colonial light infantry here, African natives, mountain troops. That's excellent. Look at that. Mountain troops are excellent troops, and also company infantry, which is excellent. Then you go down to drill school, and now you start to see the ability to start unlocking once. Of course, you've got that research, and again, the cities will help you to unlock that. Grenadiers, mountain troops, of course. Look at that, Grenadier Guards. My goodness me. Blunderbuss shotgunners do an excellent defence. Highlanders and sepoys, of course. They move down to military academy. It's going to unlock a lot here. Oh, look at that! Look at the Grenzers. Wow. Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. The skirmishers over there, look, they look fantastic. And of course, then you're starting to get a lot. Look at all the infantry you can get. My goodness me. Cuirassiers. Moving down into army board. Then you're starting to get the chapelle, the lapels in, and look at that, winged hussars, my friends, winged hussars. Now, if those of you who may have seen the Polish campaign with winged hussars, they are some of the finest cavalry you will find anywhere. Look at that, it's magnificent, sir. Look at the charge bonus, absolutely huge. The winged hussars, wow. Household cavalry, the amount of options here is staggering. I love the uniforms as well, they're fantastic. And then finally, but last but not least, Army Staff College, which is going to give you guards, lots of additional experience here. Rifleman, Republican Guard. And what about engineering school? 32 pounders howitzers, that's very, very nice. Rocket troops improved with percussion shells, very nice. Buckle guns, and the standard 8-inch mortar, which is my absolute bane, but my goodness me, they are fantastic to see. 24 pounders, of course, standard. And you can even get Marines late and Marines here when you get the Naval College, so that proves how important it is to get your hands on a city, because look at that. You can get Marines here at Admiralty. Wow. So the ability for Georgia to expand is just incredible. It really, really is. So the troops you can get here from once you've got a city at your disposal is going to be vast. You're going to easily match the finest that some of the other Western powers are going to throw at you. Indeed, the Eastern powers as well are going to throw at you. You're going to easily match them. But that, my friends, is the overall here. And of course, we've been looking, because you're in a single region, you're not be looking at, the sort of the dominate, you're not looking to roll over empire straight away. You're building from a very small base. So your enemies and your allies are going to be very close to home. So we're not looking how you expand. But of course, once you've got this, or if you go this way to the Ottoman Empire, of course you've got Persia you could maybe move against, and maybe bump up then against the Southern Mughal Empire. Or you could head westwards and then sort of into the Mediterranean, start taking the Mediterranean, maybe even moving into Italy. That would be a good base of operations to moving into the sort of into Europe proper. And alternatively, that if you go against Russia, you of course could move in. And Moscow is not too far away in terms of the number of jumps you'd have to make into Moscow, and then maybe moving into Sweden, or maybe even just moving westwards through Poland, heading for Europe. And of course, this is also the New World as well in America. And of course, then we've got India as well, which again, imagine if you've got India, my goodness me, my friends, the sort of economic power from India would be just overwhelming. Almost nothing would be able to stop you then. But of course, that, my friends, is entirely up to you. But I hope that you've enjoyed this Empire's Guide. Just that sort of that overlook of what it is. I might just do a Georgia campaign one day. That would be really, really fascinating to do, and a very, very enjoyable campaign to do as well, especially from such a small base. My goodness me, what a joy that would be! Almost like the nice St. John campaign, but then again, you're not sort of on an island. You're pretty much trapped between two of the biggest empires at the start, or three of the biggest empires, should I say. But I hope you've enjoyed this, my friends. If you've played Georgia, please let me know how you did, what your tactics were, who your enemies were, who they weren't. Let me know how you performed, my friend, and how you did. Of course, as always, please keep your comments coming down below. Thank you for your wonderful support for the Napoleon Total War 3 France campaign. It has been mind-blowing. The support for that is absolutely incredible. It really has blown my mind. So thank you for all your wonderful support, your kind comments, your wonderful advice. As always, my friends, whatever you're doing, please be safe. And until next time, which will be the Knights of St. John campaign will be coming out next. But until next time, bye for now.